Good evening, students. In the previous class, we have seen the classification of plants. First classification based upon their habit. We have seen three types. We have seen herbs, shrubs. We have seen again these are classified into three types based upon their nature of branching, position of branching, presence and absence of branching. After that, we have seen based on nutrition. Nutrition means the food material taken by the plant. So here, based upon their nutrition, plants are classified into two basic types. First one, autotrophs. Second one, heterotrophs. These heterotrophs are again classified into various types, and we have studied first type, that is parasitic plants. To the best of my knowledge, parasitic plants means yesterday, the previous class, we have seen the plants which depend on other plants for the sake of their nutrition. If they were completely depends, they were called complete parasite or obligate parasites. And these obligate parasites, they depend both for food and water. So on the host plant, they will depend for both food and water. They were called obligate, complete parasites. Whereas on the host plant, if any parasitic plant depends for any one, either for the food or for the water, they are called facultative parasites or incomplete parasites or partial parasites or semi-parasites. So here, after knowing what is a partial and what is a complete parasite, we have studied some parasites affect only stem. So they will grow on the host plant on the stem, and they will send their special roots called sucking roots to take the food and water, or only food or only water. Again, some other parasitic plants we have studied, they will infect roots. So they will grow on the roots, they will produce their sucking roots into the roots. They either completely depends upon the root or incomplete depends. So yesterday in the class we have seen complete stem parasite, incomplete stem parasite, complete root parasite, incomplete root parasite, to the best of my knowledge. Complete stem, incomplete stem, complete root, incomplete root. So this is compulsory, my dear students. It is not that we are teaching the same thing again and again. It is compulsory. First time when we are listening, it should be a broad and detailed form. Second time when we are listening, in a shortcut, commercial form, to recapitulate, total recall of the subject. So here examples are there. Those are called examples, are memory based questions in the NEET examinations or any competitive examination. So your part, teacher's part is finished. Whatever he has to teach, he have to teach, he has finished. The remaining part, students' part, they have to complete reading and writing, practicing part. Simple shortcut methods. Simple shortcut methods depends upon every student's mindset. Again, after understanding these parasitic plants, one simple question. Parasitic plants, for example, a complete parasite. A complete parasite, parasitic plant. Question. A complete parasitic plant possesses the following parts. So generally, we know that plants are having some fundamental parts: root system, stem, shoot system, leaves, branches, flowers, fruits, and seeds. Out of these parts, a complete parasitic plant possesses the following parts. Means, why we are going to call it complete parasite? This is the host plant, host, and this host, this is the parasite. It is growing. A parasite is called complete. It means it takes both food and water. It means generally plants will absorb water from the roots for the process of photosynthesis. And with the help of this water, remember this, my dear students, with the help of this water, with the help of leaves which are present in the plants, leaves are the structures which are responsible for photosynthesis. They will absorb carbon dioxide, they will absorb sunlight. With the help of chlorophyll, they will prepare food. So here, a complete parasitic plant depends upon a host plant. It means this complete parasitic plant does not possess leaves. So in a complete parasitic plant, what they possess? They possess stem-like structure. Even they are not having roots, because it depends upon both water and food. A complete parasitic plant does not possess roots for absorption of water from the soil and leaves for the process of photosynthesis. Simple. Out of the 4 options, only that option is correct where they will mention a complete parasitic plant does not possess leaves, and a complete parasitic plant, it does not possess roots which are called to move in the soil to absorb the water. So it will absorb both water and food material from the sucking roots which are entering into xylem and phloem. So this type of questions are called concept oriented questions. Generally, if student is not trained, not given idea that this type of question could be asked, they cannot get idea. If generally if they are having leaves, they can prepare their food. Only what they need haustorial sucking roots to enter into the xylem for the sake of water. So such plants are not having roots. So a complete parasitic plant, generally leaves are absent. Now after this second, we have seen saprophytic plants. Saprophytic or mycotropic. Mycotrophic. Myco means fungus, fungi. Like fungus. Mycotrophic means like fungus. Saprophytic means, saprophyte is the name given to that organism which grows on dead organic matter. The plants that grow on dead organic matter. So they draw their food materials, energy, everything from the dead organic, like fungi which grows on dead organic matter to decompose it. So that's why they are called saprophytic or mycotrophic plants. Examples: monotropa, monotropa, neotia. These are the plants. neottia. These are the plants which are considered as saprophytic plants that grows on dead organic matter. Symbiotic plants, third one. To understand the part of morphology of plants, we have to study various types of plants which are generally unknown for a common student who passed 10th standard. All these things may be there or not. It is compulsory. After knowing these types of plants, classification of plants, we will enter to study morphology in the form of root, shoot, leaf, inflorescence, flower, like this. Symbiotic plants. What is this? Symbiosis means mutual understanding, mutual beneficial. Mutual means two different organisms live together like a single organism, and each and every organism is benefited by other. It will benefit something to this and this will benefit something to this. So mutually both are benefited by each other and they live together. This association is called mutualism or symbiosis. When two different organisms mutually benefited by each other, mutually, and live together. Such mutual organisms which live together are called symbiotic association, symbiosis, symbiotic relationship. For example, best studied symbiosis, lichens, lichens. You might have studied in your schools up to 10th standard, somewhere else in biology. Lichens is nothing but looking like a single organism, but it is not single organism. It is made up of two different organisms. The two organisms present in the lichens are algae and fungi. See, a surprising fact, lichens are those organisms. A lichen is nothing but made up of two different organisms. A lichen is made up of two different organisms. One is algae and another one is fungi. These two togetherly unite to form lichen. So this association is called symbiotic association. Here question comes, how they were benefited from each other? How? Algae, it is a photosynthetic, so it can prepare food material. Algae prepare food which will be supplied to the fungi. Algae by photosynthesis prepare food. It is having green colored pigment. Prepare food and food will be supplied to the fungi. Fungi in turn gives shelter to this algae. So algae has to live. It has to attach to it will shelter to the algae. It will absorb water and minerals. So for the process of photosynthesis, to prepare food material, algae requires water and minerals. So fungi, its capacity is to absorb more water from the soil, from the surrounding area wherever it is living, and along with the water it will take mineral elements, mineral ions. So these mineral elements along with water will be supplied to the algae. So mutually, with some understanding, each are benefited with each other. Each and everyone is benefited with. Algae will give you prepare and supply this food to the fungi. Fungi will give shelter and also water and mineral. So this association is called mutual association. Symbiosis. Sym means united. Biosis means two living organisms, two different. Algae and fungi and lichens. Like that, some other examples of mutualism, that is called symbiosis, you might have better studied in your school studies. That is, this is first example, lichen. Second example, symbiotic association between Rhizobium bacteria, Rhizobium, which is called a bacteria. This bacteria which is living in the soil, and whenever leguminous plants, roots, so you might have studied root nodules in the school sections mostly. Root nodule formation is nothing but leguminous plants, the plants which belongs to Leguminaceae family, are those which are called legumes, pods, like beans, groundnuts, all these plants. In these plants, in their roots, bacteria which is present in the soil enters into the roots. So when it enters into the roots, it will produce some structures which are called root nodules. So root nodule is nothing but excessive growth of the plant material in the form of extra growth, a cyst, a sac-like structure, a node-like structure, knob-like structure, a knot-like structure, and it is because of multiplication of bacteria in the roots. So here what is happening here? See here, in the nodulous roots are Rhizobium symbiotic association, symbiotic plants, Rhizobium bacteria N2 fixation, responsible for N2 fixation. It means the plants, they require nitrogen in large amounts, which is called critical element. Whenever nitrogen is not available in the soil, that soil should be again replaced with the nitrogen, always in the form of nitrates or nitrites. It should be given to the plants for the successful growth. Nitrogen metabolism means the plant will take the nitrogen and it is able to build up its amino acids in the form of nitrogenous compounds to produce proteins. So compulsorily a plant requires nitrogen, but nitrogen is present in the atmosphere 73% by volume, not available, which is called dinitrogen, N2, N triple bond N, dinitrogen. So this is unavailable form of nitrogen. In this universe, to break this triple bond, no other plant is having ability except bacteria, because this bacteria consists of an enzyme. With the help of enzyme called nitrogenase enzyme, this bacteria with the help of nitrogenase enzyme able to break this and convert this unavailable form of nitrogen into available form in the form of nitrates, nitrites, ammonia, ammonium salts, which will be supplied to the soil, from where plant will receive this nitrogen. So if bacteria are present in the body of the roots, automatically it can fix it and it will supply enough amount of nitrogen to the plant, and plant is providing shelter to the Rhizobium bacteria, and it is providing food material to the successful growth of the bacteria. So a bacteria is growing inside the root of the leguminous plants, and how it is benefited? It is taking the food from the plant. It is benefited by taking the food. It is growing. It is increasing in number. One bacteria 10, 10, 20, 20, 40, 40. So it doubles the number by excessive cell divisions, uncontrolled cell divisions. They will be increasing their number and forms in the form of nodules, and every nodule consists of hundreds, thousands, millions of bacteria which can fix the atmospheric. So the plant root and the bacteria, two different organisms. They were living together. They were living together is called symbiotic association, symbiotic relationship. And I wish to give another example of symbiosis. Third example of symbiosis, symbiotic association. Which are called mycorrhiza. I repeat, a symbiotic association called mycorrhiza, mycorrhiza, mycorrhizae or mycorrhiza. Mycorrhiza is a symbiotic association of fungi and the roots of higher plants. Listen, my dear students, carefully. We are watching heterotrophic plants. In that heterotrophic plants, in the previous class, we have completed. We are able to complete only one, that is parasitic plant with various different diverse examples. After that, we have seen that class again today, and we have started. Which one? First one, saprophytic plants. Saprophytic plants means which grows on dead organic matter. We have given two examples. Examples are compulsory for repeatedly how to write and read. Next we have seen third, symbiotic plants. In the symbiotic plants, we are watching various examples. Lichens, the best example, where mutual understanding of two organisms living together like a single unit. Here, symbiotic rhizobium and leguminous roots, leguminous plants roots, root nodule, symbiotic association. Mycorrhizae here means fungi, some of the higher plant roots. So, in the roots of higher plants, fungus enters, responsible to absorb more amount of water and mineral nutrients to the plant. So, fungus, absorption of water and nutrients, it supplies to the plant. And plant is able to provide food material to the growing fungus. Plant is able to provide food. It gives water and mineral nutrients. Here, in most of the higher plants like pinus, in most of the plants, they are able to form vesicular, arbuscular mycorrhizae. They will form vesicles and arbuscles, tube-like structures in the roots. With this, the capacity of the root will be increasing more to absorb more water and more elements from the soil. Certain elements like phosphorus will be absorbed by some fungus and it will be supplied to the higher plants. The best example is some fungi like glomus. Some fungi, example, a fungus called glomus, it enters into potato plants. Potato plant, when it is growing in the soil, this fungus enters into the potato plant roots, forms association, that is called symbiotic association. What it is responsible? It is responsible to supply phosphorus to the potato plant from the soil. Phosphorus. So, myco means fungi, rhiza means roots. Mycorrhizae, mycorrhiza or ZA, mycorrhizae. Mycorrhizae is a term which indicates it is a symbiotic association between fungus and roots of higher plants. Root nodules are symbiotic association, rhizobium bacteria in the lichens, algae and fungi. In the same way, the best example we can study here in the symbiotic association, you might have heard about Australian acacia, Acacia cephalosporus. Here, acacia plants In acacia plant, an association of acacia plant stipules plant body with ants. Ant plus acacia stipules. What are stipules? Here, in the most of the plants, at the place of leaf, stipules will be there. So here in acacia plant, these stipules are hollow, empty, and ants will enter to take shelter in these stipules. Ants shelter and food. How are these ants will take shelter here inside and whenever they want food, they will go to the tip of the leaf where food is stored. They will eat the food. So ants are having symbiotic association with the acacia plant leaves, where they will take rest and they will keep their living places in the hollow, empty stipules. Hollow stipules. And take tip as food. And rachis they will take as food, the food matter which are present. And again, how plant is benefited? These ants will protect the plant from other organisms, other animals which are going to eat. Ants are giving protection to these from other insect pests or other types of pathogens or animals which will infect the plant. So ants and plant having association, a symbiotic association. So my dear students, we have seen 4 types of symbiotic association, that is lichens, second rhizobium, third fungi, fourth ants, and some blue-green algae are present in roots of cycas plants you might have studied, which are responsible for the fixation of atmospheric nitrogen, which are called nostoc and anabaena. Have you studied nostoc or anabaena, which are called blue-green algae, cyanobacteria? They are responsible to absorb nitrogen fixation and give to the plants of cycas. So here, let us stop. So if we goes on detecting so many symbiotics, so many mutualisms are there. For your information, fourth one in my class, what I mentioned is, to the best of my knowledge, insectivorous plants. Or they are also called carnivorous plants. Generally, plants are called producers. They were called autotrophs. They will prepare food materials. Plants are not carnivores, or they were not consumers. But here, in this universe, my dear students, some plants are there. They will possess the character of the ability of preparing food material, and also these plants act as ant eaters, insect eaters. Whenever anything which is eaten by someone, they are called carnivores or consumers. For example, we have seen this is the plant grass. Grass is able to prepare food material, so it is called primary producer. On this grass to eat grasshopper. Grasshopper is called grasshopper is eating the plant. They were called herbivores primary consumer. So on the primary producer, that is plant, this is an insect which is going to eat. It is called, it's eating vegetable. So it is a herbivore or primary consumer. This primary consumer or grasshopper eaten by some other frog. So how frog eat the, it is called secondary consumer, primary, secondary. Here insectivorous plants are also comes under both producers and secondary consumers. My dear students, listen carefully. Insectivorous plants, they comes under producers because they can prepare food material, and also secondary consumer because they eat, they catch and eat insects of various types, bees, insects, butterflies, various types of dragonflies. So whenever they are performing this function, they are called secondary consumers. Here, what is this and how to understand this? Insectivorous plants are those plants which grow in nitrogen deficient soil. The most important concept, insectivorous plants grow in nitrogen deficient soils. So whenever insectivorous plants are growing in nitrogen deficient soils, from where they will get nitrogen? Nitrogen is an important element for the successful growth of the plant. So they have to depend upon insects or other animals' bodies. So these plants, they have adapted, they have changed their body in such a way, or they have developed certain structures in their body with which they can catch the flies or insects, which is called trapping mechanism. They will trap and they will digest their bodies, because animal bodies or plant bodies are made up of cells and cells are made up of proteins. So for the sake of proteins, they will digest the animal bodies, insect bodies. What is there in protein? When we cut the protein, it is made up of amino acids. What is amino acid? When we observe amino acid made up of nitrogenous compounds. So from the bodies of insects, beetles, butterflies, dragonflies, they are able to change their body in such a way to trap them, to catch them, and to digest their proteins in order to get their amino acids and nitrogenous compounds. So the mechanism by which they are is different in different plants. So general concept is insectivorous plant means the plants which are able to eat animals. Here the best examples they have given: pitcher plant, Venus flytrap, bladderwort, sundew. Among these insectivorous, these plants, after this sentence, in order to get nitrogen, they adopted certain changes, modifications in their parts these modifications helps them to catch or trap insects and to digest their proteins. So, when the body of an insect is made up of cells and cells are made up of proteins and proteins are made up of amino acids and nitrogen compounds, these plants who fails to get nitrogen from the soil, they will develop a mechanism of trapping the insects, catching them and making their bodies digested by the liquids which are called acidic substances, fluids present in their modified parts, and hence they are able to survive by taking the nitrogen. Examples of these: pitcher plant, Nepenthes, Venus flytrap, Dionia, bladderwort, Drosera, Utricularia, Drosera, sundew, bladderwort, Utricularia, Drosera, so many are there. And the mechanism, it is not required now, but in the coming classes we will definitely see the mechanism of at least one or two plants. Our concept is how many types of plants are classified. After the insectivorous plants, epiphytic plants. My dear students, this is the last plant group. Last plant group. Epi means upon, phyta means plants. So in this universe, in this nature, certain plants are there which will grow on other plants. The plants which will grow on other plants. So here, the plants which will grow on other plants means mutualism or symbiotic association. No, it is that some small plants which will grow on other large plants. The concept should be understood like this. The small plants which grows on large trees are called epiphytic plants in general. It means, see here, this is the sunlight and this is the area of soil where plants are living and sunlight is falling. These are the trees. These are the trees which are surrounding. See here, tree, able to see or not? Shall I increase my font? Sunlight is falling. This is the soil. Trees are here. Surface of the soil. Some small plants are present here. Small plants are present here, but these small plants are not getting the sunlight. Why? Because large trees are surrounding the complete sun falling area like this. So what about these plants? Since centuries, millions of years, when these plants, they have adopted a change in their body, an adaptation, a modification for the sake of sunlight, to get proper amount of sunlight. Otherwise they cannot live now. So in the course of evolution process, these plants rise to the... So whenever these large trees are having branches, on these branches, these plants have taken their life. The plants which lives on other plants are called epiphytic plants, and these epiphytic plants better studied in orchids, ORCHI, orchid plant orchids like Vanda. Best example, we'll study this at least for 4-5 minutes in the next season, next class. All the best.